Alright, so, Season of the Splicer. It's here. And with it comes a whole new slew of things to talk about. Not including the absolutely tragic launch, because that's pretty common knowledge at this point. Let's start with story. The story for this season starts with Ikora telling us that the Vex are back at it. Again. This time, they've engulfed the entire city in a Vex simulation where the sun will never rise. Ikora then tells us to go to Europa to find Mithrax, to hopefully find a way through with Splicer technology, to gather intel, and eventually break out of the simulation. As story hooks go, pretty par for the course for past seasons, where a big bad comes out of hiding, does something super big and dangerous, and we find a random side character to help us in the fight. Also not to mention that calling it Season of the Splicer completely baited everyone into thinking it was a Siva season. By the way, good one, Budgie. You really got me there. Story is one of those things that will be pretty subjective to the overall community, but for me personally, being part of the Vex fan club, it's really interesting learning how the Splicer tech works, how the Vex network operates, and other stuff like that really keeps me hooked in, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of it. The first week didn't really give much in terms of substance, but hopefully when next week rolls around, we'll have a bit more to sink our teeth into. Alright, stasis. Oh boy. We've got some new aspects and fragments as normal, with the aspects somehow making stasis even more powerful than it already was. So, Hunter's up first, with the best and most overpowered aspect by far. We have the Touch of Winter. Your Glacial, Duskfield, and Cold Snap grenades have enhanced functionality. Glacial Grenade will add a new stasis crystal to the formation and change its formation to a circle, so it's basically asking you to use Shatter Dive 100% of the time. Duskfield Grenades has an increased slow field size and creates a small stasis crystal on impact. I didn't think the bubble could get any bigger, but it did. Great. Cold Snap Grenades basically went back to how they were before the nerf. They travel farther, faster, and chain one more additional time. So we're back to Cold Snap being the main choice of everyone in PvP, and you will never escape it. It will always catch you. Titans, you're up next. You have Diamond Lance. You shatter or defeat targets with stasis abilities to create a stasis lance. If you remember the Valkyrie from Warmind, it's basically that. You throw it or you slam it, and it does things. It does damage. It's pretty neat. I don't think it taking the place of just the sliding one and the one that gives you crystals to get your melee energy back. It's more of just a fun option, but it's not gonna take any place for either of them, really. But if you like throwing icy sticks around, there you go. Last up, we've got Warlocks. You've got Glacial Harvest. Freezing targets creates a stasis shard around the frozen target. Higher tier combatants create more shards. I don't understand this one. Warlocks don't really have a means of shattering crystals very easily, and creating more of them, not that fun. Maybe with just Cold Snap and Axiom Bolts, you'll have a fun time, I guess, but I really struggle to find a purpose for this one. Whisper of Shards would probably make it good, but no real reason to take anything off or put this on. So, there you go. I've already kind of accepted stasis as the be-all end-all of the Crucible, and I don't know, I've just come to accept that it's going to be stupidly powerful and overpowered, and nothing will change that. And them adding the Hunter aspect just kind of solidifies that this is the vision that they're going for, and they have no intents on making stasis the not most powerful subclass. So, if you hate stasis, I'm sorry to tell you, but we're living in a stasis world and possibly a stasis future. So, moving on to the most controversial addition, we've got Transmog. The implementation of Transmog itself is fine. The UI is nice. The ability to mix and match armor without having to pay for the actual armor ornament is pretty great. The apply all shader button is nice too. Where we get into the hangups is the implementation of the synthweave material system. You get synth strands that will allow you to turn them into Ada-1 for bounties. You get these synth strands just by playing the game. These bounties will give you one synth weave for your character to make into a universal ornament of your choosing. Something to note is that you can only complete 10 synthweave bounties per character, not a count. You can complete all 10 bounties on all your characters, giving you a total of 30 armor pieces in total. They also give out an extra 10 synthweave as part of the intro quest, but I don't think that applies to all characters. I think that just applies to the character you picked it up on. I could be wrong. The main point of conflict for a lot of people is the fact that you can buy basically infinite amounts from Eververse. You can buy synthweave within bundles, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be selling it as its own item in the future, but currently it's only in a bundle. And it only contains 3 in total. So if you just wanted 3 synthweave, you would have to pay up a total of $15. Kinda absurd. Once people start using up their synthweaves for the season, the game is basically gonna push you into the Eververse if you want to have more customization for your character. I understand to an extent this is kinda not a big deal. Cosmetics are usually in the Eververse anyway, so it makes sense that they'd be there. However, the main thing that really got people riled up was the fact that we've been waiting for this feature to come out since Destiny 1. We've been hoping that we would get a transmog system for years, and locking it behind a paywall once your free trial is up really kind of stings. I personally don't really swing one way or the other. I kind of accepted that the system was gonna be really limiting, so let's hope that Bungie tunes it a little bit in the future if they decide to budge. Seasonal activity! Override is a 6-man match-made activity with a lot of pretty good things going for it. As far as 6-man activities go, it's pretty fun. Enemy density is playing a big role in that, just because having more enemies to shoot is really nice. In Override, you spend the majority of your time banking moats and killing baddies until you open a gateway into the Vex domain. After that, you do some platforming, go on some Vex slip and slides, and kill the boss for loot. It's simple, but the amount of enemies thrown at you keeps you engaged, and the Vex domain is always a joy just because of how damn good this looks. I love it. The main gripe I do have with it though is you spend a little bit too much time outside of the network compared to inside of the network. If they maybe had a couple of like arenas or something to kill enemies with inside the Vex domain before you head into the boss room, probably would have evened it out a bit, been a lot nicer, but I'll take what I can get. It's pretty nice. So, as far as 6-man activities, pretty high up there. Moving away from everything in the season, my thoughts. Season is good. I'm perfectly fine with it. Everything that happened in the beginning, including the launch with the extra 3 hours of maintenance, I kind of expected that to happen. Like, especially after Season of the Chosen was so good, people were obviously going to be jumping in really hard into the season, so they probably need some more time to fix stuff up. Stasis, who would have guessed it would get more powerful? Everyone. It's gonna be the best thing in the game for a long time as far as PvP goes. Transmog, I already came to terms with it being an absolute trash fire. I kind of distanced myself from the whole topic just because I don't like drama. I don't like getting into conversations of why thing bad or why thing good. Transmog is just kind of there and it exists now, and I'm glad it does, because maybe I'll find some new stuff that I like to wear. Seasonal activity, pretty good overall. It, like I said before, it needs a little bit more balance to it. It feels a little bit heavy on the outside versus inside the domain aspect. Maybe just putting some more stuff in there to shoot inside the domain would be nice. As far as pinnacle and powerful grind changes, I'm not a fan. I was kind of on board at first, but the moment that they killed pinnacle drops from Deepstone was the moment I realized I kinda need the powerful grind to push me to do stuff like Deepstone Crypt, or the seasonal activity, or whatever. I kinda need that push to even get in there, cause I have the majority of the loot I could ever want from Deepstone, but I still do Deepstone cause I have that chance of getting a PvP God roll succession, but I also get a number to my name. It's more fun when you realize that even if you don't get what you want from the raid, you're still making progress in some other system. You no longer make progress. If you get crap loot, you get crap loot. That's it. And then you have to wait till next week. So, it kind of sucks because it kind of removes any willingness for me to play Deepstone of my own time, knowing that I have notoriously bad RNG, and I'll probably just get bad loot anyway. So, I'm not a big fan. I was trying to be really receptive to it, just like, oh, I'll just play stuff for the sake of getting loot or just playing the game. Weirdly enough, that's pretty hard when there's little to no incentive. Because, I don't know, I'm not making progress in another system if I'm getting bad luck. I'm just rambling off script right now because I just have a lot of thoughts. The whole pinnacle situation, I'm sure they're going to iron out eventually and give us more incentives as content comes out and VOG comes out and stuff like that, but for right now, not a big fan. Anyways, that's going to be my first impressions, or whatever you want to call this video, on Season of the Splicer. I'll probably go through everything and see how things are working, and I'll probably make other videos on stuff during the season, because I thoroughly enjoy this one. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please make sure to click that like and subscribe button. Helps me out immensely if you enjoyed the content. But anyways, that's going to be all from me, and yeah, see ya.